stay low key, all gas, no brakes, baby, let them hoes sleep. Body on 10, make your girl OD. I get in my way, never out of my lane. Feel like you the one and I'm on one. So what it's gonna be? Baby, squad up, we finna go deep. Riding on a team, got what you need. Baby, won't you keep me company? Give me something to do when I get lonely. I got something for you when we get home. If you let me put it down, when I hit the town, you should ride on me. Keep your minds on me. On try, baby, I think you should side with me. Stay solid one time if you lie with me. Just promise you never lie to me. Keep the moves on tuck. I know it's all love. Everything good. Keep the vibes on crush. I know it's all good. Know it's all love. Know it's all love. I've been feeling like I'm feeling like a man lately. Can't nobody do it like I can daily. Fattest in the lattice in the land. Body turn your nigga to a fan up. I made it where I'm at on my own.
Just one glass in, you're already on my mind. When it gets late, I always realize that I need you. Are you thinking about me tonight? It's no secret, all my friends already know. There's no reason to hold it back, I let it show. All my feelings, are you thinking about me tonight? Your hands around my waist, just let the music play. Like a drug, I am hooked on you. Sweeter than summer wine, baby, just hold me tight. Like a drug, I am hooked on you. And that makes me say, oh man, you make it feel like paradise. Goddamn, I think I'm gonna lose my mind. Oh man, you make it feel like paradise. Paradise. I'm taking a mental picture in my mind just to keep this moment till the end of time. 'Cause I know that it might be over after tonight. So before I change my mind, your hands around my waist, just let the music play. Like a drug, I am hooked on you. Sweeter than summer wine, baby, just hold me tight. Like a drug, I am hooked on you. And that makes me say, oh man, you make it feel like paradise. Goddamn, I think I'm gonna lose my mind. Oh man, you make it feel like paradise. Paradise. Take a beat, give it to me.
Hey, girl.
Hey girl, hey.
How are you?
I cannot complain. How are you doing?
I'm good. Did you watch Dusto's show before this?
I didn't. I was out running around, running errands, of course.
Oh, you gotta watch it. It
I
was
know, I gotta run it back.
so funny. Good job, Dusto. So, welcome everyone that's coming in. Welcome to Get Your Mind Right with me, Coach K, and Chef Big Al
That's me.
on the Black Man Unfiltered Network. Like and subscribe on your way in. Hello to the chat. Scam, you're something else. Lady Navoa. That's how I say it. Dust. All right. So, you want to get started?
Yeah. Okay, so I'm all wrapped around here. Okay. So yeah, so we'll get started with our we've officially named it the Compromise Don't Deprive segment, which is, we've been starting off each show just going over alternate options and substitutions for products or dishes in our everyday lives that we could probably make a little bit better. So first we have, instead of chips and dip, tortilla chips and salsa.
Okay.
Now, tortilla chips, I mean, you can't, just eat nothing but tortilla chips and salsa. But if you're going to have some type of chip with some dip, tortilla chips and salsa is a much healthier alternative to chips and dip, which is usually loaded with a lot of preservatives and fat and stuff that's just not good for you.
For
Whereas
sure.
tortilla chips, yeah, they're usually a lot lower in trans fat and cholesterol. And then salsa, as the main ingredient, is tomatoes, which is loaded with antioxidants. And you've got garlic, which is great for you, onions, limes, all of those veggies, good for the immune system, digestive health. And, you still have to be mindful of your quantities, but if you're going to overeat on chips and dip, might as well make it a little bit more beneficial to you. So,
Ooh, that is good.
yeah, and I love chips and dips, especially if it's like authentic, like at the restaurant, the Mexican restaurants. Just keep them coming. If I'm at a Mexican restaurant, I'm probably not too concerned about what I'm eating anyway.
That's true.
Okay, so yeah, next up we've got, instead of vegetable oil, substitute that with avocado oil. Avocado oil. There's a couple different oils. I really love avocado oil. I think it's most easily accessible to the stores that I go to. But you've also got like sunflower oil, coconut oil. But I like avocado oil because it has a really high heat content. What's the word I'm looking for? Heating point. Meaning that you can use it for frying. Like coconut oil, I wouldn't fry anything in coconut oil. You're probably gonna set the whole kitchen on fire.
Oh, no.
But avocado
Okay.
oil, it has a much higher heating point, and it's filled with lots and lots and lots of healthy fats. So much better for you
Jeez.
than vegetable oil, which is just, I think we all know it's not good for us, but it's kind of like, oh, well, what else am I supposed to use? Avocado oil.
Wow. See, I'm learning probably just as much as people are in the chat because, or whoever's watching, because I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's not like with olive oil, depending on what color it is, it usually can be pretty heavy and like change the flavor. I don't run into those issues with avocado oil. It's a much lighter oil than olive oil. And all olive oil is not good for frying either.
I
So
didn't
just
even
something
know
to keep in
that.
mind. Yeah, yeah. The darker olive oil is more so for like marinades or like olives and dressings and stuff. The lighter olive oil, that's what you would use for frying, but I don't believe it has as high as a heating point as avocado oil. So meaning you might burn some crap in it. So I don't use that for frying.
Oh my gosh. See, these are things it scams us can use WD-40. I can't.
Yeah. WD-40, probably not. I'm just gonna leave you to determine why not, because I think you can answer that one on your own.
Yeah,
um,
saying that's for sure.
so another thing is not really a swap, but it may be an addition. I know, like, I see a lot of times, especially if it's like at home nacho night, um, people tend to stop at the cheese and the sauce and the sour cream.
Oh,
Hamburgers,
yes.
cheeseburgers, same thing. Cheese, mayonnaise, ketchup, mustard, maybe that's it. Add on, those are perfect opportunities to add in vegetables. You've got your
Mm.
lettuce, jalapenos, tomatoes, onions, avocado, all of these things that you can incorporate. And you can still, we're not depriving ourselves. You still get your nachos, you still get your cheeseburger, but load it up with some veggies, because why not? This is the perfect opportunity to do that, and we need
It
some.
looks nice. It looks so good too, but
Yes, so colorful. I know so many people, they're like, no, just the cheese and the sauce and some sour cream. And I'm like,
yeah, give
but
me
I
all the
chopped up
bread.
all these veggies, to go with it.
I know, run it through the garden, right? Isn't that what they say?
Yes, but it tastes, I mean, I feel like when I was younger, I've kind of always liked vegetables. My dad always cooked with them, and my mom always did too.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like some vegetables when I was younger that I just wouldn't like, but my
Mm-hmm.
palate adjusted as I got older. So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, at least try it. You might really
No,
like
I will.
it.
I will. That's for sure, because I want to. I want to like all things and experiment, and what about mushrooms?
Mushrooms are really good, and I am not a mushroom eater. That when you say I
Yeah,
try
me
to like
either.
all things, when I tell you I've tried mushrooms about 5 or 6 times, and my attempt to like them and alter my taste buds, and I can't do it. Those
It's a
are
no for me.
nasty. I don't like them. But I was meal prepping for someone one time, and they were doing a vegetarian meal prep, and I decided to do a portobello burger. And I seasoned it just like I would a regular burger, and I
Hmm.
actually soaked it in Worcestershire. I,
Hmm.
I don't come for me on that word because
I know. I don't. Yeah, I'm not saying it. I know what you're talking about, but I'm not saying it.
you know what I'm talking about.
Yes, I know what you're talking about. I am not saying that either.
But
I
yeah,
think what you said was pretty good though.
right. It was good, close enough.
Yeah, yeah.
I soaked it in that and I seasoned it like garlic powder, salt and pepper, not salt, pepper, because Worcestershire is so salty. And whatever else I put on there, vegetables and whatever. And my customer, she called me and she was like, "Girl, this burger." And so then I had to go run it back and taste it myself. And I ate the whole thing and it was so good. Like, but it
Really
was because I probably like flavored all of the mushroom out of it. But I still
crazy,
ate the
Vegas.
mushroom. I still ate the mushroom. But that's a really good alternative for a lot of meats. People use that in place of like taco meat, spaghetti meat, steaks, burgers. Mushrooms are very versatile because of their texture when they're cooked properly. I think that's why I don't like them, because when I first tried them, they weren't cooked properly, and when I made it, I cooked it properly. So that was
Right.
also probably a reason why I liked it. But usually, like people overcook them and they're just like slimy and mushy,
I just can't
and
do
I
the
don't like that.
smell too. I mean, the smell is like the
Yeah,
taste for me. Like, mm-mm.
it reminds me of mold, like dirt and mold. But I did realize it's levels to mushrooms. So
Mhm.
you have mushroom classes. So depending on what type of
God.
mushroom you're getting
Yeah.
and how it's being prepared, if you're eating
Like, what's
it
the upper
cooked or
class
raw.
of mushrooms?
Look, I don't know because I still am not,
Right. I mean, neither.
but I've seen it on the cooking shows. Like they got these fancy mushrooms. They got long mushrooms, mushrooms that look like flowers. They got the smaller mushrooms. So it's all different types of mushrooms. But I can say
Yeah.
the portobello,
Okay.
that worked really good as a substitute as a burger patty. So I'm sure like if you wanted to do like portobello mushroom and potatoes with broccoli or something like that, play on steak and potatoes. You know, I try not to call vegan food anything other than what it was. The non-vegan community seems to get really upset, like this is not chicken. So
Right.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
call it a portobello mushroom steak with
Oh
with
my
the
gosh.
side dishes, but not the psychedelic mushroom.
And world class. He's so crazy. I don't know if you saw Boss Lady Iris says, "What do you think about alkaline?"
The alkaline diet, if you can stick to it,
Yeah, what is
is
that?
is probably one of the best diets and the best things that you can do for your body. So you have alkaline and then you have acidic. And a lot of
Mhm.
products they will advertise as being alkaline. I have to look up the exact level
Mhm.
where something is truly alkaline, as in it's good for your body. But that was also something that Dr. Sebi was very, very stood strong on, was maintaining an alkaline diet. And you have food that's acidic, that's more difficult for your body to break down,
Mhm.
that can cause inflammation, stomach issues, whatnot. And then you have alkaline foods, which are loaded with nutrients and vegetables, and
Mhm.
they flow with your body's natural pH levels and help everything to flow properly. So a lot of people, that was another thing I was going to, that was actually my last thing I was going to bring up. When it comes to salads, a lot of people stick to romaine. If you're still eating iceberg, I don't know why, but like, please stop. Romaine is a good choice of lettuce. One, because it has a very high water content, so it's always it's good to hydrate with. But spinach is something that I feel like people have grown to love. Even people that don't like vegetables, if you put spinach in like pasta or in a pizza or
Mm-hmm.
something, they don't mind it. They'll eat it. But spinach is not alkaline.
Oh,
It's not alkaline.
is kale?
It's kale. Yes, kale is probably the best next to wheatgrass. Is probably the best green that you can have in your body.
So
It has
strong, but
it's
arugula
very
too. That's a good one
strong.
too.
Yep, spinach, not spinach, but arugula. Arugula and kale are probably the top two next to wheatgrass that you can get into your body. But kale is just like it's amazing. Like it's iron, it's fiber, it's tons of vitamins. I think like vitamin C, vitamin A,
Mm-hmm.
like
I used to do
yeah, pH
a
7 and up,
I
alkaline.
used to do a shake one time with a bunch. It was like 2 cups of kale, but I think did I put a banana in it and then dates, and you could not taste the kale at all, and it was good.
Yeah. See, raw kale, and which is obviously the best way to consume it, it is really, really strong, in my
And
opinion. And
I'm
it's
gonna drink it before I have to eat all of it. You know what I mean? But I'm sure there's like, okay, there you go. What's in your shake or your smoothie?
I'm not gonna lie, I do the create your own and I basically tap off everything, but I've
So
got
what?
ginger,
What?
ginger, celery, kale, grapefruit, lemon, lime. Did I say cayenne? Cayenne and
Mm.
vegan protein, which is I think it's just a coconut powder based protein.
So what do you taste the most?
And this one, the most I taste is celery. Celery is super strong.
Yeah.
It's hard to offset celery, but it's good for you. That's another one of those veggies that's high in water content. And a lot of times, when we are looking for food and we're snacking, we're not really hungry, we're thirsty. So I
For
always try to
sure.
drink before I eat, and then usually I'm not even hungry anymore. Because I have to think
Yeah.
like, and I walk around, I'll keep my water with me all day, but I'm always busy and moving and working. I'm like, did I actually drink this? Maybe I'm just
Mhm.
thirsty. So I drink my greens some days when I can't sit down and make a salad or
Yeah.
whatnot.
That's good. And I think a lot of times too, people eat or snack because they're bored. Like they're bored
Hmm.
or they'll use it because they've had a rough day. Trust me, I'm guilty of it too, but it's like just because you've had a rough day doesn't mean you need to deal with it. World class is seriously something else. Um, but it
No
doesn't mean you
lies
have to
though.
deal
That was facts.
I know. It doesn't mean you have to deal with it or process your day by eating. Like you're gonna have to deal with those outcomes later on, and you're gonna probably not be having much of a good day then too, you know?
Yeah. It's good to definitely try to channel your energy into something that's more beneficial, which at the
Mhm.
time it can seem really, really hard to do. But it's the long-term effects, it's much harder to stay in a negative state than it is to just get in a positive state, whether that be to start dancing or go for a
Yeah.
walk
Yeah,
or
yeah.
whatever it is that you need to do. But
Mhm.
binge eating, it just creates a cycle of a bad cycle.
Yeah.
um
You're gonna need
Stomach
more and
issues.
more and more, and it doesn't
Yeah.
it's just temporary.
Yeah, and it's not fixing anything, and you
Same
don't
thing with a glass
necessarily
of
feel better
wine or whatever.
afterward.
It's like,
Yeah,
yeah.
it doesn't really fix anything. At the end, you usually feel worse because you're like, oh my gosh, why did I just eat all of that food like
Yeah.
that?
So whenever you've had a tough day, then that means you have to have this, and that's not true.
It's not. It's not. And the thing is too, we don't go to the store and get the snack sizes or go to the gas station and get the snack sizes. We got to get the family size bag. Like maybe I
Mhm.
could let you have your little junk food if it was the little 150 calorie pack, but you're not about to eat a whole family size bag of chips. We can't do that. We got to get up. We got to get up. Come on. Come
I
on.
don't I don't buy snacks because I know I'm I'm gonna want all of it,
Exactly. And
which I
that's
could deal
the
with, but I just don't buy snacks.
Yeah, that's the easiest way to do it. Like once it's in the house, it's basically impossible to avoid it. If you
Yeah.
drive past the fast food restaurant, if you just don't put it in your grocery cart, it's not here. at 12:30 in the morning, if you wake up and you got an attitude or you got the munchies, you're probably not going to get up and go to the grocery store. It's not going to
Mm-hmm.
happen. You're going to find something else to satisfy your craving, which should probably be a glass of water, because I know I can't be the only one that wakes up
Right.
in the middle of the night thirsty.
For
But
sure.
if you don't buy it, if you don't have it in front of you, if it's not easily accessible, it's way, way, way easier to fight
Mm-hmm.
it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, and you can totally do it. And I think
yeah.
um I might use that as a segue. Did you want to add anything else though?
Nope, those are my compromise, don't deprive items.
We're gonna need to do a little like clip, little jingle or something.
Right.
Um yeah, that's good. Those definitely have me thinking. Yeah, for sure. So speaking of having a bad day and coming home, let's talk about coming home and being a little monster and blaming it on your long day and being mean or, being grumpy and being short and, snippy because
Petty.
you've had a long day. And what do you do later on? You say it was because I've had a long day. Everyone else needs to, you know, change what they're doing, walk on eggshells because I've had a long day. So let's first talk about, what do you think about saying sorry? Are you good at it?
I am so good at saying sorry that I kind of had to, I don't want to say fall back, but just reanalyze everything that I say sorry for, or that I was saying sorry for, because sorry should only, first of all, we're not sorry individuals, we're not sorry people. But if an apology is owed, an apology should be issued. But sometimes people just say sorry and they don't mean it. Sometimes people just say sorry because they think it's what should be said. And what used to get me is, I had a friend that used to hold me accountable, because I'm just like, oh, I'm sorry. Oh, my bad. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. Oh, I'm sorry. And they're like, bro, like, stop saying sorry for everything. Like, why do you keep saying sorry for everything? And
Right.
at that point, it was kind of just instinctive to me. But I'm like, well, it's better to be, more than less. But he's like, no, because it loses its
It's value.
genuineness.
Yeah,
Yeah, like,
yeah.
you're gonna say sorry to everything when, when I really feel like I want an apology and you say it, I'm gonna be like,
Yeah. And were you even
whatever.
saying sorry for things that you were actually sorry for? Or were
No,
you
they
just like
were.
kind of people pleasing type of thing?
Yeah, exactly. That's more so what it
Mm.
was. But so when I reanalyze sorry in the way that I use it, like, now I've really taken the word sorry out of my vocabulary. Um,
Interesting. Okay, tell me
yeah,
more.
because literally saying I'm sorry, like, I'm not a sorry person. Like, I'm not sorry. Like, I may
Mhm.
have made a mistake. I may have done something wrong. I may have hurt your feelings, and I apologize for that. I've replaced sorry with apologize. But,
Mm.
if I, like, accidentally forget to turn off the light when I'm leaving the room, like, I'm not going to be like, oh, I apologize for that. It kind of helped me to determine, what's an excuse me and what's okay. I'm sorry. Let me tend to this. We need to talk. We need to talk.
Interesting.
Yeah. But it's not difficult for me to apologize at all, even if I don't necessarily understand why something that I did made someone so upset. An
Mhm.
apology is not necessarily for me, it's for you. And if you're someone in my life that I value, that I love, and I respect, and I
Mhm.
said something to you that, whether it be misconstrued or that it hurt your feelings, or if I did
Mhm.
something, whatever it may be, if you have the decency in this world of miscommunication to
Right.
come to me and say, hey, I respect you enough to not cut you off. I want to chop it up with you about this. I didn't like when you did this, da 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 da, this, that, and the third.
Mhm.
Even if I didn't feel like I did something, or I didn't realize, I did something so impactful, you still got to issue out that apology, because why wouldn't you?
Yeah, what do you say in an instance like that where someone says, let's say, because you're dating, right? So let's say your boyfriend was like, I don't know. I don't know. Let's say he's like not getting ready for something because you have something planned and he thought it was at 6:30, but it's actually at 6. And you swear you told him, but he says you didn't. Do you say sorry?
So I'm not gonna lie. If I have receipts, I'm pulling up the receipts.
Let's say you don't. Let's say it was
But if
verbal.
I don't have receipts, if I don't have receipts, especially me knowing me, with my mind going a mile a minute and everything that I have on my plate, I'll say, I am pretty sure, I'm almost positive, I don't see how I could have given you the wrong time. If I did, though, I apologize. But however, can we please put some pep in our step because we gotta go? I know it's my fault.
Yeah, like what can I do to help you? Like get out the door because
but we still got to get out the door. So
yeah. Yeah, for sure. I know. So I'll be honest. I'm one of those people. Well, I used to be one of those people who I would not apologize. And I was talking to my fiance earlier. I said, "Do you remember when I would never say sorry? Like I've already, explained when I would want him to text me, it only takes 2 seconds. I would feel like I was justified to be a bitch. Like I'm not changing my mind. Like this is how it is. Like why are we not like why is this even a question? So or I would, let's say I was acting, the same way, like just I have a mouth on me. I've really contained it now, but I would, have an attitude and be snippy, and I would blame my attitude on something he did. Um, and then there was another thing where I would just like kind of wait. It's funny because he reminded me of this today. When we were long distance, we would be texting and, calling here and there. But I would just, I would kind of, let's say we go to bed and then I would wake up and just act like everything's fine. Like text in the same way. Because, when your significant other is mad, instead of like, hey, babe, it'll be like, hey. Well, I would start being normal again. And so then I didn't have to say sorry, you know what I mean? I would just go on with it, but he still knew. Like he was still aware that I was just trying to like sweep it under the rug because like T-Shaw said in the chat, I had so much pride and I didn't want to admit that I effed up. Like I shouldn't have acted that way. Well, first I had to acknowledge that I was acting a way that was not good, wasn't respectful, and then I had to, that's really the first step is like acknowledging that you're not being nice. Like I see that so often where especially like I'll say with us women, but people around me will just be so, I don't want to cuss on Black Man Unfiltered, his shows, but his channel, but they're just acting so crazy and they act like it's fine. Like this is just me and this is warranted that I can talk to you however I want and I'm not going to apologize. This is just me. What do you think?
Yeah, I feel like I feel like I can say for the women in my circle, myself included, I feel like when I was a little bit younger, after that first heartbreak experience or that first time you get not heartbreak by getting played experience, you kind of get this, oh, that's never going to happen again.
A shell.
And like you said, I lay everything out. I'm coming to you raw, unfiltered, the truth.
Right.
There's no room for mistakes, mess ups. If there is, it's because
if that's how you took it.
Yeah.
Well,
and my grandma used to always say, like, it can't always be everybody else. At one point, it has to be you. And in my eyes, I'm thinking that I'm just preparing myself for battle. But why are you going outside every day prepared for a battle? Like that
feels terrible.
Yeah, and then that wasn't my true me. Like I
Mhm.
dated someone, I had a bad experience, and I'm gonna let that set the tone for everybody else who I've never met, who I've never interacted with. And it's not cool. It's not cool, and you do end up hurting people. You end up missing out on good people. And even when it's not romantic, one of my closest friends, who I really, refer to as family, um, it's been actually about 2 years now that we haven't spoke, because she was
Mm.
that person that didn't apologize, and she would
Mm.
say multiple times like, I don't apologize, I'm not apologizing for anything. And
Right.
for a while I would kind of look back, or look at our friendship, and I'm like, this feels like a ticking time bomb, because how you do everybody else, eventually, that's what you're going to do to me. And
Mhm.
I don't take that, because if I do something wrong, I take accountability for it, and I apologize, and I try to treat people the same way that I want to be treated.
Mhm.
You just blatantly walking, like, you just characterizing yourself as someone who doesn't apologize. To me, that also means that you're too prideful. You're never going to think that you're wrong, or you're going to know
Right.
that you're wrong, and you're still going to play and act like you're not, just because that's who you want to be. And long story short, um, we had a minor disagreement about something. We were actually having a debate, and it got kind of heated.
Mhm.
And at the end of that debate, um, I kind of reached back out to her, and I was like, I don't think that we should have debates anymore.
Mhm.
Every time we do, they get kind of heated. And this one felt a little bit personal.
Yeah.
But I love you. It's no beef or whatever. But
Right.
that's why I kind of just had to dead that conversation. And from that point forward, the phone calls kind of stopped, text messages kind of stopped. She
Jeez.
had a whole baby, and yeah, and it was really, even now, there's a lot of things that I don't understand, but I stuck my neck out a lot of times, throughout our friendship, to kind of be the person that makes the first phone call or reaches out.
Mhm.
And it
Yeah.
got to the point where I was just like, it's not fair for me to keep doing that. And if you're not even growing or seeing your ways, or you don't think that you're hurting anybody, this is just going to keep happening. Um, and
Yeah.
so, yeah, we haven't talked. We haven't talked. We still have mutual friends, that we keep in contact with, but us us being as close as we were, ending up where we were
Mhm.
at, based off something so small. And it,
Right.
it, it was just amazing to me how she was willing to let our friendship go, because she was upset that my feelings got hurt by something that she said. And she didn't want to
Right.
apologize for it. She didn't want to apologize for it. And a lot of people, when I would talk to them, like my mom, or my best friend, when I would talk to them about it, um, I had one person ask me, like, so you're always the one that makes the first phone call, or texts us first, and da 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 da. I'm like, yeah, I
Mhm.
don't want to do that this time. And they're like, well, I mean, that's who she been. So you already know the drill. And I'm like, no,
But you don't
that
have
wasn't.
to.
Yeah, you can reach a point where you're like, kind of over this. I don't want to be feeling like this anymore.
Mhm.
Um, and it's not to say that's the end all be all. If she's not blocked, if she wanted to have a
Right.
conversation today, I'd be willing to. But it's very, very important. I feel like, especially when you're dealing with people who have presented their hurt to you, that you take accountability for your actions, whether intended to do something or not. You take
Right.
accountability, and you own up for your crap and apologize, because at the end of the day, subconsciously, I feel like we all know when we're wrong, and whether it be
Yeah.
pride, ego, pettiness, tit for tat, where that you
Mhm.
just refuse to acknowledge it, you're gonna break you down and everyone else around you,
Yeah.
and that's not cool.
Yeah, and I think that word accountability is so important here because you hear that word thrown around so much that people don't take accountability, and I think that sometimes even so in the example of the miscommunication, like I think sometimes maybe you don't have to apologize, but you can at least acknowledge what they're saying and how, like, oh, well, I just said I'm sorry, but I see how you could take it that way. I didn't mean for it to come out that way. This is what I meant. And when you can do that, it's like you actually are taking accountability for your role in it. Even if you don't, you're not agreeing that you hurt their feelings. Let's say you said, like, let's say some people are sensitive, let's be honest. And that word is still touchy too. But you can still at least recognize that, validate what they're feeling. But I think that saying sorry and apologizing is a huge part of being accountable. And I think too, when I say sorry, I um at least, it feels good for me. It's for that person, but it's also for me to kind of admit that I effed up and I
Yeah.
can move on now. I'm admitting it
Yeah.
to you, and I'm gonna move on. You know what I mean?
Because again, 9 times out of 10, subconsciously, like we'll be talking and we'll say something and then immediately be like, oh, dang, I ain't have to say
Mhm.
that. Or
Mhm.
the argument's over, and then during the argument, you were like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And then after the argument, you were like, I ain't have to do all that. Why bring his mama into this? That wasn't right. I shouldn't have did that. Like,
Right.
we especially I feel like when there's anger involved, people say crazy things when they're angry. Um,
And that's not an excuse either, I don't think.
it's not. And
It
one
happens, sure, but yeah.
yeah, I saw a quote one time. I don't know if this is verbatim, and I don't know where it came from, but it said you're still responsible, or you still have to take accountability for your actions or for the things that you did to hurt people while you were going through whatever it was you were going through.
Yeah.
I think nowadays, a lot of people, I've never seen so many people talk openly about mental health and
Mhm.
prescription drugs that they're on,
Mhm.
therapy, anxiety, depression, bipolar, schizophrenia. Everybody is talking about these mental health issues, and I feel like some people kind of use that as a crutch for
Yeah.
their meanness. And
Yeah.
no, I don't give you a pass for that either,
I
because
agree. I will say I agree.
when you walk up out of retrograde, when you swallow your Prozac or whatever it may be, when you come
Right.
back down to planet Earth, baby,
Mhm.
run it back, because you was talking real crazy. And you
Yeah.
have to you have to always take accountability for that. You cannot go around, fake loving people or trying to make convince people that you love them when you're not willing to do something as small as apologize. I
Mhm.
still don't understand how big, some people make apologies and why it's so hurtful for them. Like, is your pride that big where you'd rather be standing alone than
Yep.
to have your gang with you because you don't want to apologize? Like,
Yeah, it's like an extra step to hold on to when you don't apologize. And
mm-hmm,
this is what I think, and this is what it was for me, and I think for, a lot of people is, and Jenny said it in her comment. She said that they think, or maybe it was Tisha, that they make it mean that they're a bad person. It is the shame.
mm-hmm,
But that's temporary, and guess what? You messed up. You acted a certain way, and yeah. So yeah, the
yeah,
admission of wrong makes you a terrible person, which is why they don't apologize. And I
mm-hmm,
think, like, that's it's a sign of, I think, strength and adulthood,
oh
and
yeah,
um to admit that, yeah, I honestly don't understand it now,
mm-hmm,
because but I used to do that. I didn't wanna be
yeah,
wrong. And some
yeah,
people too,
yeah,
even if I didn't, let's say I didn't tell my fiancé, or maybe I did, like, I have the receipts. I'll still, you know, I don't know, I'll still, like, what would I do before? I guess I would just be like, "Well, that's your problem, you're wrong." I might still say, "I know I told you, but it's okay. Like, I'm just gonna let this go." And there've been
yeah,
times too where, if let's say our friend gets in their feelings about something that you said in an innocent way or that you didn't say. A lot of,
Mm-hmm.
we all make assumptions. I will still, I'm not going to say sorry, but I will still talk it
Yeah,
through with them. You know what I mean?
because acknowledging, like you said, acknowledging and accountability, some people don't even realize that's not even half the battle won. That's the entire battle. Because maybe, both of you all just didn't understand each other. So let's
Mhm.
talk about it. But a lot of times people want to sweep it under the rug,
Mhm.
act like nothing happens, knock on your door, act, hey, you want to go out to eat? No, I don't want to go out to eat with you.
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
we just gonna act like there's no beef here. Um, but yeah, I don't know what it is. I definitely do feel like in my younger years,
Mhm.
I didn't want to be wrong.
Right.
And I don't know what necessarily had me so strong on not being wrong, but it hurt my feelings. It hurt my feelings when people told me that I was mean or I said something that hurt them. And so, I tried to flip it around on them and say, oh, well, it's not, you're just mad because da da da. I told the truth. And no one said you were a liar. I said you hurt my feelings. What you
Right.
said hurt me. I didn't say you didn't tell the truth, but you still hurt my feelings. And just being able to talk it out, like you said, it may not end up in an apology. I said what I felt, and I didn't say that to upset you. I do see that it upsets you. We can talk about it.
Mhm.
Sometimes that's all people need, but to just act like, it doesn't matter, people's feelings don't matter, that's just
Mhm.
really kind of like, it's just evil. It's mean.
Yeah, for sure. And so looking at the comment here, Lou says he lost an entire friend because she refused to apologize and she felt entitled and started saying nasty things to family members about the situation. She died this year and she never even tried. So
Mm.
sorry about that. I bet that is extremely hard. And what I would say is she never, she didn't apologize about it, but now what do you want? Like, I would say, how do you want to approach it now? Because you still feel that, in your heart, in your emotions. I would say, since she's no longer here, you can still forgive her, or him or her, um, even if they didn't verbally say, we don't know what was going on. We don't know why they did what they did. But for your sake, you can, work to a place of peace knowing that you forgive her, even though what she said was hurtful.
Yeah. That was also something that I came to terms with the older that I got, because I would classify myself as being really sensitive. I've always been that way. I'm a writer.
Mhm.
I like to read a lot, and I feel like writers are traditionally just really passionate, emotional, and expressive about things. And I had to realize that, everybody just is not in the same headspace.
Mhm.
Everybody is not in the same healing process as you. And I had to realize that the apology sometimes that I'm seeking, I have to give it to myself,
Yeah.
because if the person, especially when people do things that just don't make any sense, like just straight up evil, malicious things,
Yeah.
like, I'm going to drag this out trying to get verification and or closure from you, or am I just going to accept that you have things going on that have nothing to do with me,
Mhm.
and I'm going to be nice to myself that I allowed myself to be in that situation. I'm going to be careful with myself by not getting in that situation again, and I'm just
Mhm.
going to apologize for you. I'm going to
Yeah.
apologize for you, and I'm going to move on as best as I can.
Mhm.
It doesn't mean that when I think about, the person or what happened, I don't kind of cringe and get upset about it.
Mhm.
But it's much easier than I think walking around, hoping, is today the day they're going to reach out? Should I reach out to them?
Right.
Are they ever going to apologize? I wonder if they're thinking about me. And it's like, sometimes you're just not going to get that out of people. And
Yeah.
sometimes you get apologies when you least expect it. And
Mhm.
sometimes you get the apologies and they don't do for you what you thought they were going to do.
Well, and that's interesting. And Gretchen says an apology can make a big difference if done right. You have to mean it. Well, I would question, being a coach, what does that mean to be done right? What does it mean that they mean it? Now, I think when someone just says sorry, like, okay,
Yeah.
yeah, but if someone says they're sorry, and let's say our feelings were really hurt, we may think that they didn't mean it. But is that true? Like, how do we know? And are we going to punish this person? I used to do that too when I was in like high school and college. I would punish my boyfriends for like doing something, like not texting me or some shit. But
Hmm.
but yeah, it's like, okay, they said sorry. Now, are you just, and also too, like, sometimes I will even let things go. Like, I know someone's going through something, and even though they like probably should have been more not so reactive and not taking it out on me, sometimes I'll just let it go for them. Like, hey, I understand you were going through something. You probably shouldn't have done that, but yeah, I'm just gonna let it go.
Yeah. Every battle, especially depending on who it is, every battle isn't worth
Hmm.
fighting. Um, but it depends on to the extent, I guess, of the disagreement or whatever happened, while this person was going through something. Because I did have a friend like that also, who, we lived two completely different childhoods, and we wound up in the same high school together, and we became really close, and we were friends for about a good maybe 10 years or so. And every now and then she would kind of fall into her episodes and kind of be tuned out and,
Hmm.
reminisce on, things of the past, things that were hard for her, things that I
Yeah.
necessarily couldn't relate to. And when she would do these things or when she would have these episodes, she would go completely MIA. If she didn't go MIA, she would be really cold hearted. One time she said something to me and I was like, you really need to be more mindful of the energy that you put out because you could send people the wrong message. And her response was, I've been the same me since day one. So if you don't like it, don't stick around to complain about it. And
Mm.
at the time, like my grandma had just passed. And it was like every
Mm.
time she was going through something, I always was there for her, whether it was driving 40 minutes to her house or staying on the phone with her or whatever it may be, just sitting in the room together. I was always there for her, but it seemed like every single time I went through something, that was when she kind of left me alone. And when my grandma passed, I was really close with my grandma. That really hurt me.
Mhm.
And I couldn't understand, why she did that. And
Mhm.
she would do it. She would come back, apologize. I would forgive her. We'd be back friends. She'd do it again. Same cycle repeat itself. The last time it happened, I was like, you know what? I forgive you. I wish you well. I never want to see you on your knees. But baby, I cannot do this anymore.
Yeah.
And I
It's
say that
just,
to say an apology is not a key to open the door back up. It's we don't have any beef, we don't have any animosity, we cool. I'm gonna
yeah.
leave you where you at though. I'm gonna leave you where
Yeah.
you at though. I don't think that we for each other. And that's okay
Yeah.
too. And even if the relationship isn't going to be repaired or you and your boyfriend may not be getting back together, that doesn't mean that you can't apologize for whatever messed up stuff you said or did while y'all were together.
Right.
People don't realize, I feel like, the long-term effects of not getting those apologies. You get trauma.
Mhm.
You can have anxiety, depression. It can affect your future relationships, your other current relationships. Got you looking at everybody sideways, like, nope, I've seen this before. I don't trust you. And the people like, dang, well, I didn't do anything. Like,
Right. Yeah,
it's like, dang.
sometimes I have to, and I will say, like, and by the way, we dropped the link in the chat. So if you want to come on up and talk about this, talk about if you struggle saying sorry, let's talk about it. Or maybe you're struggling to forgive someone. Come on up, join the conversation. Thanks for everyone for being here. Salute to the chat. But something I was gonna say is, also we hurt ourselves too when we wait for an apology. It's like
Yes. Mm-hmm.
we're
Mm-hmm.
spending extra energy to hold on and to keep it in our mind about that person when they may never come around to it, and then what? You
And even
wasted
if they
all that
do,
energy.
who's to say that their apology is sincere?
Right, and that's what someone also said in the chat. Lou said, it's really hard to figure out if someone is being sincere. Let's say that it isn't sincere. Then what?
So
How do we
when
know,
you don't know, and that's
Mhm.
the thing when it comes to relationships, whether they be romantic or platonic or whatever they may be. Everything is at your discretion. It's
Mhm.
at your judgment. You don't know, which is why you have to be just mindful of the people that you keep around you. But if you don't allow the opportunity to utilize your judgment or have these
Mhm.
people around you, you're just alone. That's the alternative. You have no one around you. You're
Right,
you're
right.
isolated from everybody. If you
You're in that
feel
shell
that you can't
again.
trust, yeah, if you feel like there's no
Almost.
one that you can trust, everyone's a liar, you know, instead of trying to maybe make friends in that moment, you need to be trying to figure out why you feel that way, because the world is not out to get you. You may have come in contact
Right.
with a few bad people or people that weren't the best fit for you, but that's not a reason to deprive yourself of communication and sincere friendship. Um, so, like with the one friend that I had where we were going back and forth in this cycle, and I fought so bad with it because of the childhood that she had and because of all the things that she went through.
Mhm. Mhm.
I couldn't imagine going through some of the things that she went through.
Right.
And I used that as a crutch for me staying. But I also had to realize that I was probably blocking her blessings because maybe she did need to hit rock bottom.
Right.
Everybody else has turned their backs because of how
Yeah.
she would treat them. And I'm
Yeah.
still here. That doesn't make me a good person. I'm hurting
That's a good
myself
point.
and I'm keeping her from learning her lesson. So it got to the point where I'm like, okay, I do hear your apologies. And what got to me was some of the words that she would use when she would apologize. She would say, "I'm sorry if I said anything or did anything that may have hurt you." Pause.
See, that's not
That you said,
accountability.
yeah, what you said, and that you said something that hurt me, which is
Mhm.
why you're saying this right now, but you're not fully taking accountability. And once I
Right.
realized that, I'm like, this is not an apology. This is her way to get back in. And she doesn't value our friendship. She doesn't value me as a person. She may love me, but you can love everybody. You can love anybody. That doesn't mean that you have their best interest in mind. And in all honesty, her dealing with everything that she was dealing with and holding on to everything that she was holding on to, it's like, how could I came to the conclusion that she didn't even have space to fight for me or our friendship. She had so much other things going on. And that's why it's so important, I feel like, to heal and do things for yourself. Because it also got to the point where we're in our mid-20s now. And I'm like, girl, you've been telling me stories since high school. I know what happened. You got to let
You're
that
funny.
go.
Yeah,
It's people,
yeah.
because it's people that then came from, further places than you. It's people that then been through worse than you. And they're not out here acting like you. And I know the story.
Right,
I'm tired of
right.
hearing the story. That was the same reason you did what you did the last time. Come on now. Like,
Right,
you got to move on. If you gonna hold on to all the bag lady, what Erica Badu say? Look, you can't carry all this stuff around and think you're gonna move through life and love people and be right. You got to heal, and people don't be
for
doing that.
sh- for sure. And yeah, that's so good. And it's also like saying sorry too. Um, when we say sorry and we expect them to just like turn a light switch because we said sorry. And it's like,
Door
no,
still closed. Door still
you
closed.
messed up, you know, like last year, I'll never forget this. We were
Mm-hmm.
moving and I forgot. This is what I tell myself, but I'm terrible with birthdays. I just am. Like I don't know what it is, but I get it mixed up, whatever. And I forgot my fiance's birthday. And there's a bunch of summer birthdays and there's no excuse for it,
Girl,
really.
you gotta put it in your phone. What are you doing?
I know. We've been together. We were together 4 years at that point, so it's been 5 now. Well, this year I went above and beyond. Okay, like I put balloons, so he knew the minute because he was at drill. The minute he walked in, he knew. I did not forget.
Okay.
But I forgot,
By
and I
redemption.
right, exactly, and I just felt
If you
there you go. And I felt so bad that I forgot, and I said sorry, but I also, just kept I let him have his space to feel up. I mean, and he totally like he was fine, but at the same time, I hurt his feelings, because I
Yeah.
didn't even acknowledge it. He didn't even I knew something was up, and I kept bugging him like, "Are you sure you're good?" Cuz I'm pretty good about that. I don't assume stuff anymore. I used to think this,
Mm-hmm.
the slightest thing, "What's wrong? You okay? You still love me?" You know what
Mm-hmm.
I mean? I don't do that anymore, but I could tell something was up. So I kept asking him. And eventually he was like, "Do you know what yesterday was?" And I was like, "Oh, shit." And I
Dang, he let you go the whole day too.
yeah, and so and like God love him, like he didn't maybe he was waiting for me. I think he said that he was waiting for me to kind of like realize
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So I knew I effed up, and he totally, he was like, I get it, whatever. He didn't even no, I don't know if he said that. He kind of just was like, It's okay." And I made up for it then too, but I
Mm-hmm.
let him take his time
Mm-hmm.
to process what I did and then come back to me versus, "I'm sorry, okay, we're good now, right?" No, it
Yeah.
doesn't work like that.
Yeah. Because see, some people would look at that and go, "So you walked around here the whole day. You could have reminded me. Why didn't you remind me? How
Right.
how are you mad at me because you forgot my birthday? Like, what
Right.
are
I
you
used to
talking
do shit like
about?"
that. Mhm.
Yeah, but like that's really how trippy some people will be. Like, you really can't apologize. You really can't acknowledge that you forgot my birthday. You're gonna flip this on me? Like, that's
Yep.
insane. And I
Yep. Like,
think
I'm not
T-Shaw,
why
she
am I
just
apologizing for it? Because you're the one that
yeah.
said it or didn't say
I
it,
think
whatever.
I think T Shaw just put it in her comments. I don't do apologies with a but. I don't that that's not an apology. I'm
Mhm.
sorry that I hurt you, but never mind. Keep
Let's
it. I
focus
don't
on
want it.
you right now.
I don't want it.
What actions did you take? Can we be honest? Like, and some people, sure, they might be acting a certain way, running their mouth, whatever, and they might not see a problem with that.
Hmm.
But let's be honest though, if I would love to ask someone on the best day, what do you want to be treating your boyfriend or whoever your friend this way? Do you like the way that you're speaking right now? And if no, then stop there. Don't say, "Well, they did this and they made me mad." No.
I
You
mess
don't
people
have
up
to
with that
show up.
one. I mess people up with that one all the time. I hit them with this. So if someone said that to you, how would you feel if someone did that to you? And this was the same friend that I lost about a year or two
Mm,
ago. I was talking to her about something, a guy she was dating, and long story short, I felt like she was playing this dude. I felt like he was a good dude, and she
mhm.
was really playing him. And I'm like, if the roles were reversed, and he was the one saying these things to you and doing these things to you, how would you feel? And instead of answering that question, she immediately went, "Okay, well, fine. I'm just a bad person. I'm a bad person then. Is that what you want?" And I'm like,
Okay, like stop. Let's rewind it a little bit. Like why are you going there? Why are you being so extreme, you
sis,
know? Oh, I know people
I
that
didn't
talk like that.
look, I didn't say that you was a bad person.
Right. Maybe you think that.
I asked you what you want to be treated that way. But
Right.
again, this is also the person that said she doesn't apologize. So as opposed to apologizing or taking accountability or even just acknowledging, like, yeah, maybe I'm not the best person I could be to him. You immediately just try to
Flip
flip
it
it.
around. Yeah.
Yeah. And so those were those things that had me looking like, oh, and so I feel like it's only a matter of time before she does this to me. And sure enough, it was. And my thing is, my opinion at the end of the day is just my opinion. You
Mhm.
may think that the way that you're dating this person or treating this person is completely fine. But again, take accountability for it. Own it. Yeah, this is our relationship.
If you don't see it's an issue, then yeah,
then that's fine. But for you to, for your answer at that point, you know, ideally would have been, I wouldn't care. And I wouldn't care if somebody would treat me like that. I mean, it is what it is. You know, we're not married. Whatever. If that's how you feel. But that's not what you don't want somebody to treat you like, you don't want him to treat you like that. And so I'm just like, you can't even look at the mirror in the mirror and see where you're wrong at. And you don't think you're a terrible person.
right?
If you thought you were a terrible person, you wouldn't also say, I don't apologize. I never apologize.
Right. Like this isn't adding up here. So don't even don't even go there, you know?
Yeah, and it's just crazy, you know, but I look at those types of people and I don't put them in a bad person category, but I wholeheartedly believe, you know, maybe experiences from their past, experiences from their present,
bad emotional
chemical imbalance in their brain. I don't know. Right. It's something wrong because it's not normal to just be evil to people or to be bad to people or to treat people wrong and on a conscious level not think that you're not doing anything wrong. People that are malicious intentionally know that they're malicious intentionally. You know, if you're wholeheartedly trying to convince me that you're being malicious and you don't realize it, I'm concerned.
There's no accountability there, you know?
I think that might be something wrong.
Right. Real quick. Hello, everyone in the chat. DL Saint. Hey, what's going on? He says, great topic. Yes. Glad you're liking it. Sports Talk with Rob. Hey there. Queen Smiley.
Hey,
Rob. Corey, thanks for joining. I think I've talked. Quincy, you always are so supportive in the chat. Love reading your comments. But T. Shaw, and we said hey to Lady and Gretchen. Thanks, everyone. Make sure to like. And we did post the link. So if you want to join our conversation, we're talking about taking accountability and saying sorry and being able to say sorry and admit that you messed up and that maybe you acted in a way that you shouldn't have and that people are allowed to have maybe hurt feelings because you acted that way. And maybe they're right. Maybe you would act that way if someone did that to you. Like that's something too that I think is really helpful is when I put myself in maybe their shoes or try to flip it and find some understanding. Like I could see how maybe they took it that way. I could see how, you know, when I communicated it, you know, in this way, totally get it. You know, I think finding understanding is always like the first step. Especially if you don't think you were wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Especially if, again, you value the friendship because you should want to understand things from the other person's perspective. Because obviously you didn't understand it in the beginning. So now it's your time to be quiet and listen to what it is they have to say. Because yes, you made them feel that way in that instance, but there's a chance that you can make somebody else feel that way later on. And if that's truly not your goal, be teachable, be coachable. You know, you may be this hard ass on the outside because of experiences that you've gone through, and you think that this is normal, and you think this is how you're supposed to be treated and how other people get treated. But you didn't like when you were treated that way. It's not normal. Somebody did you wrong. That doesn't mean to continue the cycle. That doesn't mean to keep it going. You know, get things from other people's perspectives. That's something that I've never understood. Why allow history to continue to repeat itself over and over and over again when you have the opportunity to be better?
Yeah. Hey, Mandrell, what's going on? It's like that's the biggest thing is take responsibility for what is within your control. You can't control what other people say, what other people do, what they think about what you've said or done, but you can control everything that you think and what you do. Now, we want to think, you know, that, wow, I can't believe they said that when someone, you know, important to us or close to us said something mean or was talking shit or whatever. That's fine. We can definitely be hurt by that. But that doesn't mean that we go and, talk shit about them. Like,
Mm-hmm.
acknowledge that you are upset and that wasn't cool. And then ask, how do I want to go about this now? Showing up as the best self, my best self that I want to be, that the person that I want to show up as, how do I want to go about this now?
Yeah. Yeah.
People use
Yeah.
other people as an excuse all the time. And I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
There's two things: what they did and what you're doing now. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
And
That's
are you
my
are you
issue.
going to stoop to their level? Or even try to stoop to their level, because again, a lot of times I think that people do hurt people's feelings unintentionally. I was just having this conversation not too long ago with one of my best friends, and she basically was in a place where she felt like the love that she's supposed to be surrounded by, it just wasn't there. And she's never been really expressive. She's always been the quote unquote strong friend. And
Hmm.
I'm talking to her and I'm like, hey, I think that your feelings are hurt. And I think that these people that hurt your feelings, I think that you should chop it up with them, because y'all
Right.
do love each other. And I don't think that they realize, that your feelings are hurt, especially because everyone is so used to seeing you always as the best version of you, the strong version of you, the one that
Mm-hmm.
can hold it all together. And so when you're that person, you also get punched the much. You get
For
the
sure.
most hits. You take the most hits because people think that you can do it. And I'm
Right.
like, we're older now. You've been doing this for so long, and it's wearing down on you. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I think that you need to talk to these people and let them know, my feelings are hurt. What you did to me, I wouldn't have done to you. And it doesn't
Right.
have to be beef. It doesn't have to be an argument. It doesn't have to even be a conversation, because, it doesn't necessarily have to be a back and forth. But
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just as important that they apologize to you, but they need to know what they're apologizing for. Otherwise, what is it? What is there to apologize for? I'm like, you got to communicate with them and let them know how you feel. But I know that's sometimes easier said than done,
Right.
because I feel like we are just so good at avoiding the awkward conversations.
Right.
Um,
That we make awkward. Like, it doesn't even have to be
because we
awkward,
we do the build up. We always build up trying to anticipate, well, what I'm gonna say, what are they gonna say, and how is this gonna go? Well, what if this happens? And then when you finally actually get in the moment, it's like, well, that wasn't that bad.
Yeah, like, who
And all the
cares?
stuff you
Just
rehearsed,
talk.
you probably don't remember it anyway. I feel like just a natural conversation is the best route, but it's awkward and you don't know what's on the other side of that conversation. And so I think people tend to steer away from it. But in the long run, I don't think that's beneficial, because subconsciously, I feel like you just end up separating yourself from that person, and they don't know
For sure.
how you feel, and vice versa. And you don't give them the chance to know how you feel, which I think is really important, because
Right.
I want you to know, and I want to be sure that you know exactly how I feel, because I'm going to pay attention to how you treat me from this point. And if you continue to treat me badly, I know it's just because you want to. You don't care.
Mhm.
What I said
Mhm.
didn't matter to you. My feelings don't matter to you. And so now when I cut you off, I know that I did everything that I could. I don't have a problem with it. But if I
Right.
just assume, and you're just assuming, that's all I'm gonna have. Well, maybe she didn't mean it like that. Well, maybe she just forgot to call me. No, no, you didn't. No, because we've had
I
this talk before.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I was gonna say, like, I'll give people the benefit of the doubt for sure, but
Hmm.
after that, I'm going to proceed with it, however, accordingly. But Rob says that sometimes it's necessary to hurt people's feelings. Um, hmm,
I
what do you
think
think?
sometimes the truth just hurts. Sometimes people
It
don't.
hurts us. That's why we get defensive.
Yeah, sometimes, and then sometimes I think that's what it is. I don't necessarily mean, you got to call somebody a bald headed scallywag, but if you got to tell somebody, look, your priorities is out of order. You keep asking me for money, but you out here buying all this. You always got weed. You always drinking. You always at the club. I got bills to pay. Like you look, you acting like a child. You acting like a child. You need to get it together.
Right.
They probably not gonna feel the best after that, but you better be the truth. And now you don't feel that pressure.
I don't regret what I said, you know?
I said what I said.
And you needed to hear that. Now, I get that it probably wasn't your favorite thing to hear, but I would rather say it than not. And I still, like, sometimes, you know, I can separate with how I showed up and acted in my, like, nonverbal, you know, approach. Like, if I had an attitude and I wasn't listening or whatever. But you know, if I say something, especially like family or someone that's close to me, and I tell them what I'm seeing, after that, you make of it what you will, but I don't feel bad because I told you what I thought was the truth and that I owed you. You know what I mean? Now sometimes I will say, yeah, maybe I shouldn't have like talked about it in that way, but I said the but here, like, yeah, I shouldn't have used attitude. I maybe shouldn't have said it this way. But at the same time, I do want to talk here. So I do want to talk about, you know, like this issue that you're spending money this way. It is concerning, you know. Maybe I shouldn't have called you a broke bitch, but I'm concerned about how you're spending your spending habits, you know.
And then you hurting me, like, dang, you know?
Yeah, and that's another thing too. You know, you don't have to do something like you can support someone and say, I'm sorry, but no. Like,
yeah,
I'm sorry that I'm not going to do this for you, but you know, but no, I'm not.
Yeah.
I love you, but no, I'm not. Yeah. You know, that's something like those boundaries. It's a big thing.
Boundaries are a huge thing, and people don't like those boundaries, and people don't like the truth. And my thing is, I feel like, especially if I went through a heated conversation, I'm not going to call it an argument, but if we get through a heated conversation and I didn't insult you, I didn't call you out your name, I cussed minimally, then I don't feel like I did anything malicious. I feel like I told you the hard truth, and maybe you didn't like it, you know? But I don't like how you're treating me or how your actions are making me feel. So
yeah,
I felt like it was important to say it to you. A lot of people, especially when they're used to being babied, or you have those people who just kind of give off that inferior complex, and sometimes people get intimidated by them, and they're not used to being told off or being told no, and then they meet their match and they're like, whoa, like, I'm sorry that nobody else has been able to keep it real with you, but this is not that. We're not doing this.
Right. And that's why other people got to keep it real too, because then I look like a bitch when I tell you the truth.
Yeah. But you know, I've come to grow to, you know, I don't care about what people think, because obviously you don't care about what I think, what I thought, or what I felt when you were doing whatever it was you were doing. So I'm not even trying to return the favor, but I am gonna keep it 100 with you.
Right.
Mandrell in the building.
Hey, put that nasty face thing down.
I can't with
nasty
you.
Face.
Yeah, look at it.
She's just a little furry. She got
what's her name?
with the groomer coming up.
It looks like a vagabond. Look at it.
Mandrell. What's your pup's name again, Big Al?
Zula, Zula.
See, look at it. Look at that face.
Mandrell, say you're sorry.
It's a dog. I don't apologize to dogs. They're too stupid. No, they can kiss my delicious ass is what they can do.
What's it? Delicious.
Exactly.
See, that's how he says sorry, I bet.
You got right? Yeah, no. Oh yeah.
What were you about to say, Big L?
You got issues. His sorry is like.
So I got issues, really.
Yeah,
say you're sorry.
His sorry is
say you're sorry, Big L.
You're so dumb that you can't understand.
Mandrell.
No, my apologies are not like that.
I'm sorry you're so soft and that hurts your feelings. But you should really grow.
No, I have done that. I have said that.
Said what?
Oh, I'm sorry you're too weak to understand. You're too weak to deal with what I'm telling you, but it's the truth, okay?
How
I
did
said,
that go?
How do you think?
about as well as you would expect, I suppose.
I wouldn't expect that to go well.
Mandrell, tell me the last time you said sorry to someone. What'd you say?
I said apologies. I should have been listening. Listen, I noticed that I haven't been listening as well as I could be. So I apologize. And I'm going to do my level best to do better. And that's without that person telling me that I hadn't been listening well. I noticed.
How did you notice?
That person's responses to things. For example, I'll be multitasking. I would be multitasking on something, and this person would be talking. And then I'm like, huh? Yeah? What's that? You know what I mean? It's that whole thing. You know what I mean? Like we've all done it. You're like, huh? Yeah? What's that? Yeah, absolutely. No problem. And then she says something like, I need $10,000. Absolutely. No problem. You're not listening to me. Huh? Yes, I am. Right. I heard everything you said. You know what I mean? So yeah, after about 4 or 5 times, 4 or 5 of those, you know what I mean? I'm like, all right.
You notice a trend.
Yeah, I need to tighten up.
How did that person take it when you said, hey, I've noticed or whatever, I need to be listening better or whatever?
Oh, not really. She just kind of blew it off like it wasn't important.
Hey, but how did you feel though when you have you been actively trying to be better about it?
Absolutely.
See, that's important,
Yeah, if I say I'm gonna do something, I do it. And
I feel like sometimes people like to see more than to talk about it more, especially saying something like like that. That's easier. That's easy to say. I'll notice if you're really sorry and if you are going to improve on your listening skills. We'll see how the next few days, what happens over the next few days.
Right. Yeah. And that's the thing and it can't be just the next few days. It has to be habit. You know what I mean? If you say you're going to change something, you can't change for 2 weeks and then regress back into your bad habits. And you're going to have slip ups every now and again, but
for sure,
as long as that person sees that you're trying, and they're going to see that you're trying because it's not happening as much as it used to.
Yeah.
I think we should take their word if they, all right, this is just my opinion, y'all. So I think if someone says that they're going to work on it, I'm just going to let them do what they do. Like I'm going to wait and see and hope, and maybe I'll be surprised, but I used to wait and see if they would show up and correct it. But then that I had to intentionally focus on that versus hoping that they're going to and giving them the benefit of the doubt and assuming that they're going to do what they said. You know what I mean? Instead of hurting myself ahead of time. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Because some people do that. And I think we've all either done it or we do it. You know what I mean? Definitely we've all done that at some point in time. You just wait around and see. There's one that was in my simp chronicles. Not really chronicles. I wasn't really that big of a simp. I was just more. Listen. Most men.
Mandrell? It's hard to believe.
Believe it or not, Coach K, I used to be a really good person.
Oh my God.
I used to be a really good person.
I can believe that.
Yeah, I used to be a really, really, really good person. But
was that before you had to basically SF?
Yeah, it was before that. And then I said, oh man, I got all this in me too. Let's see where this is going. And I loved it. I love myself. Now I'm a good mixture of both. The really good guy and, the dog. As Big Al said, you're a dog. You're a dog. Yeah, I got that dog in me. It's fantastic. I love it.
So what did you do before? Yeah, go on. Sorry.
No, you put up with, there's that person that you put up with far more than you should. You let them get away with way more than you, and it's not good for you. Yeah. That person's up to shenanigans, but you kind of give them the benefit of the doubt, and then you watch them, And then they say, oh, yeah, sorry about that. It won't happen again. Yeah, never heard that before. But then you sit back and you watch their behavior, and you actively watch how they move and behave. And lo and behold, you were right the whole time. I mean, it is one of those things where you're like, how much of this are you gonna take, dude?
I think that's when you have to have standards and like be intentional on the other end, in the sense of like, am I really being picky with who I have in my circle, who I'm in a relationship with? And if I am, then I should be ready for those types of things. Like, that's just a no for me. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. You know, and farewell to her and all the rest of them. They weren't about. They weren't worth 2 cents anyway.
Now, you know what? I think I remember you.
They weren't. All they wanted was sex. I was like, no, go away. How about this? Can we go to a movie or something?
That's too much. Wait, but Mandrell, do you forgive though? I remember you said something one time where you said that if someone, or it was when we were talking about trust one time, do you trust, like, let's say, okay, trust is probably too big of a topic, but if someone messes up, did you hear me talking about when I forgot my fiance's birthday?
I didn't know about I didn't know that was your fiance. I thought it was a friend of yours, but
no, it was what?
Don't judge.
No,
it was your fiance. You forgot his birthday?
Well, it was in the summer last year, and we were moving, and I had so much on my mind, but it's still my fault.
It is your fault. It is.
Would you forgive me? He forgave me, but would you forgive your girl if she did something like that?
Well, forget my birthday?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would.
Okay. What about other things? Like, let's say when someone, I don't know, what's something that you
if you know my history, then you understand why I would forgive her. I mean, birthdays aren't really a big thing for me. I mean, I'm happy that I lived another year, but that's about as exciting as my birthdays get. I haven't got a birthday present except for this year. I did get a birthday present this year, but before that, I can't remember the last time I got a birthday present.
When's your birthday?
August 29th.
Oh, damn, we just passed it.
Yeah. Apart from this year, I got one this year, yeah, but before that, I honestly can't remember what the last thing was or when it was. I don't know.
That's sad.
And I've been in relationships too, ladies, and I still can't remember when's the last time I got a birthday gift.
Oh, that's bold.
So there you have it. I mean, I guess, you know.
But see, so how many? Wait, I guess I feel like it's probably too detailed. How many people did you date through a birthday that didn't give you a gift, or did they celebrate the day, or they just
did they say happy birthday?
A couple did, I guess, but I mean, the rest of them, no.
Obviously, nothing memorable.
Yeah, nothing memorable at all. Nothing memorable happened. So I just got into the habit of, okay, I got to do something for my birthday. So that is the day I decided to do nothing. I will do absolutely nothing on my birthday. I will sit there, watch TV, or eat junk food, or whatever the case may be. I'll do something that I don't normally do on my birthday, which is honestly do nothing, because normally I'm, bouncing off the walls. I'm doing this and doing that, go. But on my birthday, I'm like, okay, and Veterans Day. I do nothing on Veterans Day.
Yeah.
So if I work in a 9 to 5 or whatever, I call it, I'm not coming to work.
For sure.
You know what I mean?
And that's how you know that things that matter to people that we think matters to everyone doesn't matter. It's subjective. It doesn't matter to all people. You know what I mean? So it's like, let's say someone forgets something, I granted him to be upset about that, but instead of saying, how can you be upset about that? Not everyone cares about their birthday. Then that would be an issue on my end. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But
were you deployed on your birthday?
Quite a few times. I think 4 times. I was out of the country.
But your guys probably, did they know it was your birthday? Don't you guys do a slap thing? I don't know. Maybe that was just.
Slap like in the face.
I don't think they.
Some guys do that.
Yeah, what's that called?
We didn't do it, but
yeah, like the amount of, or it's like on your belly or something. I can't remember.
Oh, it's when everyone punches you in the stomach.
Something like that. I don't know.
Yeah. It's a guy thing, Big Al. We play rough.
I don't care if I was a woman or you're not about to punch me in my stomach. That's how Houdini got killed, trying to play tricks.
But he wasn't ready for the. He was unprepared for the punch.
Wait, what? That
he called.
I'm aware of that, but that could have happened to anybody at any time while y'all sitting around playing games, punching each other in the stomach.
Wait, that's how.
That is how Houdini died. Yeah, he died of internal bleeding because he told someone to. He discovered how to absorb a punch. Right. That was the thing.
I think he was out of college. He was on a college campus.
Yeah, he discovered how to absorb a punch. So someone punches it. He told someone from the audience punch him in the stomach. And he had done this trick 1,000,000 times, right?
So he was punched 1,000,000 times, basically.
I don't know if it was 1,000,000, but a lot. Yes, a lot of times he got punched in the stomach. But then and there's no problems. So then this one chick, I think it was a woman actually, hit him in the stomach. He was unprepared for it, and it caused internal damage. And he bled from internal bleeding. He bled out.
Yeah, I think he died like 2 days later.
Yeah. He bled slowly on the inside. That's how Harry Houdini died.
Yeah, it was a dude that did it. It wasn't a girl.
It's a dude? Okay, yeah.
Okay, yeah, I thought it was a dude.
I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
And no one's half the battle. Yo, Joe.
G.I. Joe.
And furthermore, they sitting around playing, punching each other in the stomach.
Yeah, some units do that.
Right.
Some units do that. Like, okay, let's say you graduate from airborne school, right? Here's one. Now, they're metal airborne wings that we got, right, when we graduated. They're metal ones, right? So, and they have these needles that stick out of the back so they can go through the fabric, and they have these bump stoppers on the back that cover the needles so the needles don't stick you, right? Well, what they do is they put them on your chest, the needles through the chest, right, through the fabric. And before they put the bump stoppers in the back, they slap you really hard, right there on. And my airborne wings, they stuck in my skin, and when I pulled them out, it like pulled my skin up. It was like you heard them pop. You heard them pop when they came out.
Yeah, they're called blood wings. So like you see, like look at me here, right? So you put them here,
right?
And they do like this. And everyone on your team or everyone in your unit, if you like your platoon, whatever, everyone comes and they hit it. And those are called blood wings.
I'll have to ask him about that.
Yeah, once you graduate, I don't know if he got it, but us, yeah, that I thought it was just a rumor, Coach K. I thought it was just a rumor, urban myth, and the whole nine. But in graduation day, I'm not. And see, Fort Benning is an hour and some change from where I grew up. You know, I grew up in Alabama, but still, you take 85 north, it's an hour and some change down the road, right? So my mom actually showed up for the graduation, and so and we were standing there and they're just popping people in the chest. I was like, they're just faking. I'm still thinking it's just rumor. They're not really gonna pow.
Right. Ask him.
And again, it was so deep in my skin. Like my uniform was moving, but the metal was not. It was just like it was stuck right there, like it had been nailed in or something.
Yo, I'm trying to tell you, like, I have a godson who's in the military now, combat engineer, he wants to go to airborne school. Once he goes and he graduates, I will be there and he will get blood wings. We ain't playing. Me and his dad, his father's airborne, Jay Swans, my partner in crime. His father's, Ranger, scrolled out, airborne. His son wants to do it. It's going to be blood wings. But shout out to y'all, though. I came on and just started talking. I didn't even say hi. How y'all doing? What's up? What's good, y'all? How y'all doing? What's up to the chat?
Yeah, that sound wild. I don't want no parts of that. And I feel like if my mom saw somebody do that to my brother, like she'd probably be trying to run down like out of the bleachers or wherever the people sitting at. That sounds so dangerous.
I asked him real quick. He said it's called pink belly.
Pink belly?
What?
Maybe it's just a guard thing.
Oh, he's in the National Guard.
He said it was an airborne thing, actually.
He said pink belly.
Yeah, it was an 80-second thing.
Well, that's it. He's an 80-second. He's a weirdo.
He said maybe it was just his platoon that did it. What'd you say, Mandrell?
Yeah, it was just his platoon.
Right. It's just if he was an 82nd, he's a weirdo. So don't even worry about it. It's no big deal.
He said it was just hazing.
Yeah, that's all it is.
In a good way.
It hurts.
Yeah, that's honestly all it is. It is really just hazing, but it's it'll make a man out of you. I appreciated it.
Here's the thing with blood wings, though. Like, here's the thing with blood wings.
Mm-hmm.
The only time I've given people blood wings is when they ask me to. It's a rite of passage. They ask for it. They like, yo, because they're so proud. Yes, it's a rite of passage. I earned these. And they went. They left the unit. They were legs. They came back airborne, and they're gonna find the people that they respect, the soldiers that they look up to, and they're gonna want blood wings. I mean, and that's what it is. And we don't expect people outside that world to understand that.
No, that does make sense.
I didn't ask Coach K. I didn't ask for shit. They just they just did it.
Man, yeah, you're too much.
I'm just saying.
Oh, yours wasn't optional, huh?
No, they were not optional. But at the same time, I understand because
I got into crossing and stuff when I was in college because it just sounded like I don't want to get beat up to be part of a sisterhood. I don't. And everybody always tried to explain it to me like it's deeper than that. It's much deeper than that. And I'm like,
I mean,
don't put your hands on me.
Yeah, but there's a class of guys who are going through the SEAL school. You know, they just gotten out of buds, so they had to go to a bunch of army schools after that, right? And so I remember the only thing that they could beat me at was the running. I mean, the push-ups, I killed them. I said, these are the guys going to SEAL school? Oh, please! And then the SEALs came, I annihilated them. I said, yeah, these guys are so tough. The running came. I said, oh my God. They lapped me like twice. It was unreal. And they stayed in formation, DL.
That's crazy, bro.
They stayed in formation. I can max a PT score. And they stayed in formation and lapped me twice.
That's what you get messing with them. Most of those guys are former force recon dudes, man. You know, they run like deer and swim like fish, man. You wrong.
I cannot even imagine.
But see, the thing is, when I went through Special Forces Selection and the Q course, when I came out of the Q course, I was like that, but better. I mean, because the training that you go through, it is really intense. It is. It's because the Q, as tough as selection is, the Q course was worse. You know, as far as intensity.
For us civies here and in the chat, what's the Q course?
The Q course is short for qualification course.
Oh,
Special Forces qualification course. It's about 2 years because the whole time that it takes to create a Green Beret is about 2 years from start to finish. For Army Rangers and people at Force Recon, Navy SEALs, their training is about 10 months.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like people like, is that like Navy SEALs? I'm like, nah, kinda. We can do everything the SEALs can do. But we're far more highly trained. It costs way more money, way more time, way more effort to create a Green Beret.
That makes sense if it takes that long, you know?
Yeah. I mean, and plus our mission is different. You know, way different. Yeah, their mission, they're far more, they do far more direct action stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas us, we do direct action, but you drop us into a foreign country and give us 6 months, we've taken over their industry.
Right.
We're running their businesses. We're telling the government what to do.
Right.
3 of us have married 12 of their women. I mean, 6 months, we've taken that whole country over, and there's only 12 of us. And anytime there's a conflict, the Green Berets were there years before there was a war or any kind of conflict whatsoever. The Berets were there. Keep that in mind. If there's a conflict that America's involved in, we were there years before that conflict happened.
Yeah, just to give you guys an example, the thing that's going on in Ukraine now.
Yeah.
Guarantee you there were Green Berets years ago. They were like, yo, this coming, and this is when we think it's going to happen. So these guys, they know the intel, they know the land, they know the people, they know what's going on. They really got their ear to the ground, and you know their mission. Because that Q course he's talking about, when they get to the end, there's this thing called Robin Sage, and Brother Mandrell can tell you all about it. But they will augment this part of training with soldiers like us, like just paratroopers. We'll go in there for a week, and we have to play an indigenous force. And these guys, this is the last part of their training. They have to come in and teach us how to be an effective fighting force. And that's what this is part of their training. They have to get through this, and these guys are like been through hell already. So when they get to this part, they got to stare. All these dudes are just like, man. One dude got hurt, and he had to recycle. And like, could you imagine you 3 days away from finishing and you get hurt?
That's like David. Well, I read David Goggins' book, and like he got hurt so much, but he was just saying he didn't want to quit. Like he didn't want to tell them that he was injured because then you're out.
The thing is, I train with injuries as well. I've had cracked ribs. I had a couple of broken fingers, and I had shin splints out the wazoo. Like I could hardly walk, but I wouldn't let them know it. Every step I took was painful, like it's sharp shooting pain right in my shins, and I didn't let them know it. I didn't say a word. Recycle was not in my vocabulary. I'm not going through this again. You're out of your mind. You're out of your mind. I'm not going through this again. Let's get this over with. Maybe I'll have some time to heal after. I'll say something later.
That is a mental toughness that I cannot even imagine.
Fuck this. If you go through that training, you have that same mentality. I'm not doing this twice. Nah, let's go ahead and power through this. If they ask, I'm all right. You're right. Yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah, I guess you got to see it through at that point.
I'm fine.
Got to see it through, my boy.
So you can definitely handle saying sorry, Mandrell, right?
I do apologize when it's warranted. When I'm wrong and I know I'm wrong, I do apologize.
Where's your bar, though?
Well, whenever someone says, "Hey," well, it depends. If it's something soft, like
what's soft?
Okay, if I say, DL, that shirt looks really sugary, isn't it?
Go fuck yourself.
Right, he'll say that. See, but the truth is, I like Space Ghost. You know what I'm saying? I grew up on it, but I mean, right. And I appreciate the shirt too, brother. But if I say something like just silly like that, and it's said in jest, it's a joke, and someone takes offense to a joke, I'm like, hey, it was just a joke. Yeah. Well, still, the things you said about the LGBTQ community, this blah, 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 blah. I'm like, okay, listen, you want equality, right? Okay, that's when I come rationalizing instead of just flat out apologizing. I'm like, look, you want equality, okay, then you cannot be exempt from the jokes. You laugh when I joke on everyone else, except when it comes to you. Stop it. That's when I go into that mode. But if I genuinely said something to hurt your feelings, that's not my intention. So yeah, I will apologize. I'm not out to hurt anybody's feelings or anything like that. I'm not looking for trouble or looking to start shit with people. So yeah, then of course you apologize for that. I mean, it was a mistake, an honest mistake, but at the same time, the effects are the same.
Coach K, here's the thing. Yeah. Here's my thing with apologies, right?
Yeah, talk to us.
In today's world,
right?
Apology, I'm sorry, means absolutely nothing to me, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Because everyone says it all the time, especially in LA. I was in LA for 25 years. I moved. I've been gone. This is my 3rd year now. People will walk up to you, be startled by you, which is they come around the corner, you come around the corner, whatever. And instead of saying hello or excuse me, they're like, I'm sorry. Everything's I'm sorry.
I do that.
Yes. Everything's I'm sorry. It has no value.
I was like, oops, didn't see you. Sorry.
Sorry, what are you sorry about? Like, what are you sorry about? Because I'm a black dude. Sorry, what? You sorry you had to talk to a black man? Fuck wrong with you?
I've been sorry. I whipped around the corner. I should have said corner or something. I don't know.
She said, hey, excuse me. Hey, how you doing? Oh, my bad. Excuse me. But people say I'm sorry all the time. Do they really mean it?
That's a good point. So let's say, yeah, that's true. Let's say someone like, actually in the Midwest, some people, if they don't hear you, they'll say sorry. Like, sorry, come again, basically. Have you guys heard that?
Yeah, I've done that.
Not since the 90s.
I've done that.
Yeah, but
I do that actually.
Replace that.
You say sorry?
Yeah, is it sorry?
Please.
I didn't catch that.
So interesting.
I'll say again. Say again.
or
yeah,
excuse me,
something to that effect.
catch that. But yeah, that's I 100% agree, Dio, and that's what we actually started off at the beginning. Like I had to replace sorry with I apologize, because I'm not going to, if I accidentally bump into somebody, be quiet. I'm not going to say, oh, I apologize. I didn't, like, that's not relevant to that. So it helped me to decipher, you know, what was just an inconvenience and what was something that I actually needed to apologize and take accountability for. But that's exactly why I don't say sorry. One, saying the I'm sorry, the actual phrase, I'm not sorry. Like, I'm not a sorry person. So why would I say that? And two, it's literally used in so many different scenarios where it doesn't apply. It's not genuine. It's not sincere. So if we are in an actual situation where I really do want or feel like I deserve an apology, and you hit me with the I'm sorry, I'm not gonna feel no better. Like,
and that's the thing. We live in a society that is so afraid to live. And people are so worried about my feelings and my emotions. Yo, fuck my feelings, right? That's something I got to deal with. You know what I mean? And it just, when all these people run up to me, I must hear I'm sorry. If I'm out and about doing whatever I'm doing, I'll hear I'm sorry 15, 20 times within an 8-hour period. Especially in LA. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, it's something I've been for a while now. I'm with Big L. I agree. It's something I've been actively working out of my vocabulary.
I think if you say,
saying I'm sorry, but I
sorry
do say
for
apologies.
this, maybe is different.
Yeah. I normally say I apologize or apologies, something like that. If an honest mistake was made, you know.
And I think, and I would say that like we're talking about apologies, right? I'm not expecting apologies all the time. Like, what are you doing that you need to be saying I'm sorry 15 minutes, you know what I mean, every 15, 20 minutes, or apologize? What's going on? What's going on in your life? Seriously.
Right, you're walking on eggshells.
Right.
Right. And you know, Mandrell ain't walking on nobody's eggshells. You know what I mean? And what happens
We're all walking on ours.
Exactly. And what happens is the I'm sorry has no meaning. I apologize has no meaning. Right? Because now I don't really know how you, I don't know. I really don't know. Like, and if it's something serious, you're saying, you know, I'm sorry. And then something really comes up. Like, you know, you lost my child. I'm sorry is not going to cut it.
Right. Like, for what? You know, that's so true. And maybe it's just where I live, but when people like run into my cart or something and they don't say shit, that's when I'm kind of like, what? Excuse you, I'm sorry is, you know, would be fitting, but people don't say shit.
I think people are getting tired of it. It has no meaning. It's like if all right, if you know, if you guys, I don't know y'all, you know, status. I mean, Coach K, I think you're married, or you know, if you with somebody, whatever. But if you're out in the world, ladies are out in the world, and you got a guy who's coming up here, and this guy is going up to everybody. Oh, hey, you so beautiful. Hey, baby, you so beautiful. Hey, baby, you so beautiful. Hey, baby, what do you think of that?
Yeah, that's true.
Like, the words don't mean
me,
right?
Because I'm gonna hold him. That he better not come up to me because I'm gonna hold him.
Right, and then the guy comes up. They really thinks you're beautiful, Big Al. Sister, you're the most beautiful one I've ever seen in my life. I would love to sit down there and have a coffee. And you're gonna be like, go fuck yourself.
Right.
Because it has no meaning.
He probably started that sentence off with Grand Rising too. So that was also a red flag right there.
But my point being, 20 years ago, there were guys who would legit use that term. And they weren't hustlers, they weren't players, they weren't trying to get to Foxy Brown. They would really go, they would rarely
everything use it. It's been so tainted and watered down.
No, yeah, and I think it's technology.
Yeah, misuse everything. And even like we were talking about earlier with depression and anxiety, everybody is depressed now. Everybody has anxiety. Everybody has trauma. Everybody is going to therapy and they're bragging about it. These are things that never left the house at one point.
Walk on eggshells because I have this.
But and here's the thing too, and this is where people might get mad at me, right? This is just a little bit of the RP coming in, right? Andrew Tate is taking all kind of heat right now because he said that thing that depression isn't real. Right? He went viral for saying that about a year ago. And basically what he was saying is what you guys just mentioned right there.
Yeah.
It's not real because everyone's walking around diagnosed with something.
Right.
Right. So
What
it's
is
like,
it? Right.
Are you really depressed, or do you just want to get some pills? Are you really depressed?
That's why I feel like sometimes I struggle explaining what I do. And I think we're gonna have to wrap up here. We got carried away. But sometimes I struggle because mental health now, what does it mean? Because everyone overuses depression, everyone overuses anxiety, and we don't look at it as the same as I have heart disease. Like, that's serious. You know what I mean?
But depression, I can tell you from personal experience, depression is real. And the thing is, I was one of those people who just didn't really fall into it for the longest time. Even after the army, I was like, yeah, whatever. You know what I mean? But then when I stopped working, because I knew, I was like, my God, I got a serious problem, don't I? When I noticed I had an issue, because, normally we are, and not just me, not just veterans, but everyone, period. Normally we just kind of ignore stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But once you yourself notice, hey, this isn't normal. You know what I'm saying? Then there's a problem there. When you yourself notice, geez, what is wrong with me? And then it's like, yeah,
but the first thing you do is probably not announce it to social media.
No, of course not.
Right.
And Brother Mandrell, to your point, there are people out there who really need to who have some things they got to work through, right?
Yeah.
A brother who was a Green Beret on the teams doing things in the world that he can't talk about to this day.
Right.
Yes, that man or woman, you know what I mean? If she's Mossad or whatever, yeah, they're gonna need to work through some issues. But the dude who's making coffee at Starbucks, running around here, who grew up in the middle class, who went to great schools, who's living with his mom and dad in the guest house.
Right.
He's running around talking about he's depressed so he can get some Adderall or whatever pills they popping. Right. So here's the thing. How many people are like that? And I want to ask Brother Mandrell this because he's been around the world and he's seen some things. Brother Mandrell, how prevalent is depression in third world countries?
It doesn't exist in third world countries.
Right.
And I tell people that here all the time. I said, no, you haven't seen stress. You don't know what stress is. You don't know what poverty is. You haven't seen poor.
That is a perfect. Yes, you just said it, because a lot of the topics too, like, and I won't even go into it, but some of the certain like gender topics, it's like we have so much in this country that we make these be our problems, and you can't do this in a third world country.
You don't have time for it.
You're too busy trying to eat, trying to live.
Right.
Yeah.
Trying to live. And here's the thing, America, like the first world countries, and we're going to talk about Americans, that's where we are. And I say this all the time. Americans are victims of our own success. We have so much time and tech, and we are blessed with so many things that we can sit around here on Monday as a man. I can sit here as a man on Monday and decide I want to be a woman by Thursday, and then change my mind by Saturday and get everything sewn back on. And the whole time I'm depressed about everything I just went through in that week. Right? Think about that. And I'm not saying that there aren't people out there who are, who truly have these things that's going on with their personal lives and with their gender or whatnot. But think about it. As a society, we can really sit around and discuss who gets to use what bathroom. Wait, what are they talking about in Ukraine right now?
Right.
Yeah.
Not this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's such a good point.
Ever used to watch Anthony Bourdain, Parts Unknown, but he used to go, he used to travel literally around the world to some of the poorest, and I mean, not like the tourist areas. He would go to some of the poorest places in the world, and one thing that was always a constant is family was always together, the community was always together. Kids were smiling, dancing. They were all, even if they were all got 10 hands and a big old bowl of food, everybody's together. They're eating, they're smiling, they're laughing. And I think that for him, just from watching the show, I think that played so much into his depression, because he's like, here I am. I have all of this money. I'm so rich and I feel so empty. And these people have nothing financially. And look at them. They're dancing and they're smiling. And we've grown so accustomed to privilege that we don't even realize the privilege that we have. And even myself, when I went to Jamaica a couple years ago for my birthday, there were people, hustling on the streets with their Guinea fruit or their barbecue stands, and everywhere we went, though, literally everybody was smiling and they were so happy. And it could have been because they saw tourists and they knew we were about to tip them, but also just looking around, like we ended up in an Airbnb that was actually like in like one of the neighborhoods, like not like in a tour. Yeah, like it was a little scary at first. I mean, we didn't mean to do that.
A little scary, my dear. You should have been petrified. Jamaica.
So look, the only reason why we weren't is because the person that we hired to be our driver, he was referred to us from another group that had went to Jamaica earlier. And when I tell you, like, he was like our driver, our security guard. He didn't take us anywhere that was sketchy, and he stayed with us everywhere we went. So it wasn't like we had to call him like, "Hey, come back and get us, come back." Like, right. So that made it a little bit better, but we was still like nobody really. Like, somebody had to stay up and watch the dough. Like, but
right.
But here's a thought experiment. Oh, I was gonna say, here's a thought experiment for folks, and I say this a lot of time on my platform, right?
Yeah.
If we wake up tomorrow and the lost continent of Atlantis is swimming out there in the Atlantic somewhere, and all the Atlanteans are attacking because they want their planet back, how many people are going to be talking about they're depressed? How many people are going to be talking about their gender? Right? We are going to be fighting for our lives. Mm-hmm. You dig? So we are victims of our own success.
That is so good. Let's do final thoughts, y'all. But this is such a good, good point.
Man,
Johnny, go ahead.
No, I mean, when it comes to depression, save that for people who really are depressed.
It's not a trend.
Right. It's not a trend, and depression is not real because it's real to you. It's a real thing. You know what I mean?
Feeling sad, maybe, for sure. Like, we do have negative emotion. We need that contrast for sure, but it's different.
It is very different, and I don't think people know the difference.
Yeah, look at the diagnosis for sure.
Right. They watch those commercials for prescription medication. Yeah. And they say, I have that, but they listed off 8,000 different symptoms.
I know.
Like people are bound to have one of them, and they don't understand the marketing strategy that they just got finessed with. You know?
Yeah, that's a whole other thing.
Right.
For sure.
You just got fleeced. I mean, I think I have that. Well, how many symptoms did they list off?
Do you 12. Have 10 toes? Do you have 10 toes and at least one eye?
Yes.
Right.
Does your leg twitch when you stand on it too long? You might have restless leg syndrome. Like you were standing up for 10 hours. You're tired.
Yeah.
Right.
How about that one? Man. But apologies are necessary when they're warranted, you know, but I don't believe in apologizing for everything, because then, just like you, DL, and you guys said, it loses its value, you know, and once it's lost its value, then what's it worth? You know, so save it for something, save it for a time when it needs to be done. And for people who are on the receiving end, stop being so sensitive. Not everything is meant as an insult. You know what I mean? Learn to take a joke. Have a sense of humor. If you don't have one, find a nickel and buy one. Jesus.
Thank you, Mandrell.
No problem, ladies.
That's good stuff. Thanks for joining.
Thank you for having me.
Y'all crazy.
You're so crazy. What you got? Final thoughts, DL?
Final thoughts. I mean, yes. Apologies, true apologies, and making yourself better, especially with relationships. You're talking about with respect to relationships. Absolutely, you should be doing that. If you find yourself in a position where you're apologizing every 15 minutes, something's wrong with you or something's wrong with the person you're dealing with, right? You should not be overusing apologies. You know what I mean? Like we said before. But, you know, at the same time, you shouldn't be afraid to live for fear of hurting someone's feelings or whatever. Right. So, you know, it all ties back to, you know, self-improvement and self-assessment and all that good stuff. But people today use sorry way too much, in my opinion. It goes in this year and come out the other. I know you don't mean it. And it's kind of like that analogy we use. If a dude's running around calling everybody baby and calling everybody beautiful, then those words mean nothing as what, you know, either. So, but yeah. And then with respect to our, like, There are people out there who are suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder. That's a real thing. You don't have to be a Green Beret or a paratrooper or something like that. There are dudes in the streets. There are ghetto vets out there right now dealing with the same things we were dealing with on the battlefield. And that's going to also lead to these issues. That's going to lead to depression. Depression is a real thing, but everyone doesn't have it.
Yep.
And that's the bottom line. You know what I mean? Like I said, like this is America. We are definitely victims of our own success. You know what I mean? This is the only country I've ever seen in my life where homeless people are obese. I've never seen that anywhere else.
You said it. That is the fact.
So, you know, I'll leave you guys with that. Great show, by the way, y'all. Y'all rocking it out. Shout out to Black Man Unfiltered in the chat. Everybody else out there, thank y'all so much.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Peace.
See ya. All right. That was good. Good stuff. We still got okay, I was gonna say we still got Mandrell up here. Any final thoughts, Big Al? What you got?
I think we pretty much touched on everything. And they did a good job summarizing. Again, just with apologies, they're necessary, but you know, they shouldn't be just used in any scenario. They should be used intentionally. And you know, you really have to be sincere. You know, even if someone feels like you owe them an apology, if you truly feel like you don't, then you know you might as well just save it. Because an ungenuine apology is the same as not apologizing at all. So I think it's just important to check yourself and you know, check your subconscious, because a lot of times we do know that we're being petty. Check your pride, check your ego, and you know, put the shoe on the other foot. The saying is so old but true. It really can shine a light on certain situations. Like, how would you act? How would you feel if somebody did that to you? That simple thought, it can literally just turn on the light bulb and like, oh, I see why they're trying to fight now.
Right.
Okay, maybe, you know. So, you know, it's levels to it. And it's harder to do when you're in different states, mentally, physically. So it all ties down, I feel like Dio was saying, to personal self and just being good to people. Treat, literally, again, but true, treat people the way that you want to be treated. But some people, they will take that kindness for granted. You have to be aware of those narcissistic people, because they will come around and have you apologizing for everything and having you think that everything that you did was wrong at any point in time. So it's very, very important to be able to decipher. And I think ultimately, you know, having a good therapist or a good life coach by your side, you know, to help you through certain situations if you're unsure, that's definitely a benefit too. That's a good thing to have too.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Thank you everyone for being here and showing up, spending time with us. Stay tuned for next week with Get Your Mind Right, beginning with our Compromise, Don't Deprive segment. That was so good, Big Al. I love it. We have a really good topic next week, so definitely want to stay tuned for that. If you have any, you know, questions or topic ideas, send them to Black Man Unfiltered. His email is probably in the chat or in the description. Like on your way out. Thank you guys so much for being here. And yeah, that's all we got. Have a good night.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.